I think they basically overstayed their welcome in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they run those races like that, when they have the stages, it just screws up everything.
Ambrose came and drove with y'all.
Yeah.
He kind of did the same thing.
Right.
So when I look at SVG, I look at him as the same way. He's making everybody up their game again.
They thought they was road racers till they seen him.
Do you like street racing?
No, I don't. Not at all. Not at all. I just don't.
Street racing is not road racing.
Yeah.
It's a completely different deal. What did you think about the race?
It was certainly
the happening, not the race. Okay.
Well, it didn't take long to figure out who was going to be the best car for sure.
Yep, true. I thought you knew that before they went up there.
Well, when he qualified and beat everybody by a half a second, that was a dead giveaway.
Yeah, that was your first indication. That's
yeah,
good.
And it wasn't one of my better races to watch or nothing, but they got through with it, and he is just so much better on courses like that.
It was really hard to keep up with on TV because they would spot check here, and they'd be talking about something that wasn't even happening, and or whatever. And but what really, when they run those races like that, is when they have those breaks, just screws up everything.
Stages.
Okay. Yeah. When they have the stages, it just screws up everything.
Yep.
And they have to start all over again. So if you stop 2 laps early, then you're in the back. But then when they all stop, you're in the front. And, it just confuses me. And I know from a spectator wise, no way they can keep up with it.
Yeah, if you're there without television,
Well, television can't even keep up with it.
Well, it can't. But I don't know. They some many blind corners. I don't know, after they had that first wreck, looked like to me it'd be hard for a driver to go around that corner again hard. You know what I mean? Because it took out some pretty good cars, and the 77 car he hit with his right side, but I believe he had done lost it before he got there.
Yeah.
And just couldn't correct, and then he took out some pretty good cars, and
it wiped out 3 or 4 pretty good cars.
Yep.
That would have been in the race, The car that really surprised me, the whole deal, was the Levin car. He started in the back, never run good. He just run, still wound up 4th. Okay. You didn't even know he was there till the race was over.
Yeah, I know.
What did you think about it, Colin?
Well, I don't know. So he's just so much better. And I'm going to ask y'all this. Because y'all lived through both of these things. I'm going to ask you. So, and you know this because I remember you pointing this out to me when I was a little bitty boy, and we went out to Riverside, and Gurney was running. How smooth Gurney was through the S's.
Right.
And because you'd go up, how we'd go through the S's, and we'd stand up on top of that hill, and you could see him coming at you and then go away. And Dale would always say, look how smooth he is. Yeah. And you'd watch him, and even at 8 or 9 years old, you could see he wasn't even trying. It didn't look like, did it?
We went out there and took that 70 Superbird for him. It was kind of a factory deal, but we took care of the car. And he was out there, I thought he was warming up, and I wouldn't even put the watch on him, and he is under speed, outrunning everybody.
But that's how smooth he was. So when he came, he kind of showed everybody, this is how you can do it.
Yeah.
This is how you can.
It's a different kind of racing.
It's a different kind of racing. So then years later, when Ambrose came and drove with y'all, he kind of did the same thing.
Right.
He made everybody up their game. So when I look at SVG, I look at him as the same way. He's making everybody up their game again.
They're going to find out. They thought they was road racers till they seen him.
That's right. But let me ask you this question. It was an interesting point, and it's been brought up a couple of times. You go to Mexico, and he just kills you.
Yeah.
Brand new racetrack.
Yeah.
You go to, and you and I had this conversation. Yeah. You and I had this same conversation. Goes to Mexico, he just kills you. Goes to Chicago, we've only been there 3 times. This is the 3rd time. He killed you the first year. He was killing you the second year. Mm-hmm. And they got out of sequence a little bit there and had some issues.
Either rain or shine.
Rain or shine, doesn't make any difference. But when we go to COTA and when we go to places like Sonoma and you go to Watkins Glen, he's fast, but he's not that much faster than the Cup guys.
Yeah.
Do you believe, and this is my question to y'all, do you think like we talked, his book of different racetracks is just so vast from running those supercars that he could look at he can look at Mexico, or he can look at Chicago and say, oh, this is a turn like this racetrack. This is a turn like, and I understand how to get around them. Where our guys say, well, there's no turn like Watkins Glen here.
Right.
There's no turn like Sonoma here. There's no turn like Road America here. So they just don't have that knowledge, but they have the knowledge of the places we run.
But
Go ahead.
One thing watching qualifying, he went out on new tires and made a lap that would have been the pole.
Yeah.
Noted he had messed up in one corner.
Yeah.
Caught his breath and went back and even run faster on hot tires. So here again, I'm speaking, he pretty well had everybody covered. And, but his car, just the ride of it looks so much smoother than the rest of them. And I know
it come down right to the end where the 45 had on them new tires, and he was coming on pretty good. It would have been interesting if that 51 crashed with 2 laps to go. If it had been 3 or 4 laps and they'd had to throw a caution, those new tires could have put a kink into it.
Yeah, the new tires. So I believe Tyler would, if they had a restart, Tyler would have won the race.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he had the better tires.
Yeah.
Because he had the better tires. And listen, Tyler's not afraid to knock you out of the way. Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, they're just not. You know what I mean? And I think SVG's got to that point where he's been knocked out of the way by Austin Hill and some of those guys in the Xfinity, that he understands the game. But the thing was, I don't believe, even if they had, if the race had gone green all the way to the end, Tyler had to pass the 54 on the last lap and had to pass SVG on the last lap to win the race. So there's no way he was going to win the race there.
We don't know how hard the 88 was running either.
No. We've seen him not run hard.
He's a pretty smart driver too. To get back to it. And
now I noticed in the race on Saturday, he ran one of his fastest laps the very last lap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And he was way out ahead, and he'd been kind of loafing around. Yeah. All of a sudden, he runs his last lap, and he picks up a full second.
He probably would. He might not have won Saturday if they hadn't had that late call.
Yeah, that was different. How about
he's good enough to win them no matter what.
Oh yeah, I ain't questioning about
it. So how about Bubba and Alex?
Going at it.
What happened there?
I don't know. Maybe we'll know Sunday. This coming Sunday. I don't.
They've been having a little bit of trouble from time to time anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Alex said that he thought they had buried the hatchet, but evidently they hadn't.
He's going to bury it into him, right?
Yeah.
But every time there was a caution, you could look, and that 23 would be somewhere close to it.
Yeah, somewhere. So let me ask you this question. Do you like street racing?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I just don't.
Street racing is not road racing.
Yeah.
It's a completely different deal, because when they had that big wreck and stuff, there was just room for 3 or 4 cars to go down through there. And when they crashed, they just was room enough for the guys in the back to get through. But, it's like running in a tunnel. You know what I mean?
It's like running the back stretch at Dover.
Well, yeah, more or less.
Yeah, think about it.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah, you feel like you're handicapped. You can't go anywhere. There's no escape.
Yeah.
And most of the road races, they might have one corner tight, but there's just a bunch of tight places up there where you really can't race anybody. You just run that.
Yeah.
You run that particular portion and just stay in line. So, I really don't like road racing per se. It's pretty interesting sometimes. But putting it in the city streets just really, really handicaps it.
Well, the times we went to Riverside, you made it interesting for us a lot.
Well, there's plenty of room out there. California's a big place.
There's plenty of room up through the S's.
Golly.
You could leave turn 2 and gather back up about turn 7 or 8, and you never hit the racetrack.
Okay. Was it the first time we went out there? Or was it? Anyhow, went out there. I run one lap, tear the spoiler off. Come in, Dale and them work on it, and they fix the deal. Go out again, run a couple laps, tear the spoiler off again. They fix it and stuff. Go out and run again and tear it off, and they said, "You fixed the dang thing." I didn't tear the spoiler off no more.
Him and Al Unser was pitting side by side, and he had tore it off about the 3rd time, and they was laughing about it. I said, "You think it's so funny? You put one." But them, golly, we'd go out there with that Dodge, and I'd take 3 or 4 spoilers, and I had the one for the race. I put it in
pieces.
3 pieces.
I remember it being in pieces as a kid.
I don't know, but he was something to see up through the S's, you know.
I'm a longtime Paralyzed Veteran of America supporter. I'm here with Carl Blake, CEO of PVA. Since 2011, I've teamed up with Food City and PVA to raise over $4 million to support our national heroes.
Thanks to the support of Richard Petty and Food City, we've been able to help veterans with spinal cord injuries and diseases like ALS and MS get the benefits that they've earned, the health care that they deserve, and the careers that they want to have meaningful, fulfilling, and independent lives.
And we're kicking it into high gear this July. You can help by donating at the register at your local Food City.
Or you can head over to pva.org and give online. Every dollar you give makes a difference.
So join me in honoring those who sacrifice so much. Let's fuel the mission. Donate today. It was getting back to the race in Chicago. It really wasn't a good race.
Yeah,
it was a happening. They ran it. They got it over with. And it didn't. I was lucky it didn't rain till the race was over for a change.
Yeah.
That might have been the reason they didn't throw that last caution too.
When that fog looked like it was coming in pretty good
too.
as far as TV is concerned.
That was a burnout from SVG. That wasn't fun.
Oh, was that what it
that
was?
That was a burnout. Yeah.
all I seen was.
I'm kidding.
What would Maurice do to Richard if he'd done a burnout like that back in the?
Yeah, it'd been Family Feud on the front stretch.
What about the first race you run at Daytona?
That was a burnout leaving the pits. If he could have got to me, he'd have snatched me out.
What did he throw at you?
Stopwatches. Stopwatches. They bounced off the back glass over the hood. I ran over them when I left pit road because I was just standing there burning the tires. So you look at Chicago. Do you think? So they've run Mexico, and now they've run Chicago. They run the street races here. Mexico was a street course, road course.
Yeah.
Do you think that they should go back to Chicago, or do you think they should go someplace else, or just can this idea and move somewhere else?
They need to go somewhere else, or just forget about it.
Yeah.
I think they basically overstayed their welcome in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But see, they still got that Chicago racetrack up there that we're not running on, so they could still go back to the Chicago area.
Ain't they working on something for San Diego that would be similar?
I have no idea.
I just heard that somebody said come up with it. But,
yeah.
You know.
And
I heard they were working on one at Randleman. They were going to come run the streets of Randleman.
Well, me and Richard could lay it out because we've run most of them streets. I could tell. One night we was coming home up 220 and probably one of the luckiest times, man, you've ever had, boy. I tell you that. So we're coming up on another road course, and
Sonoma doesn't really lend itself to strictly road racers. If you look back at who's won the races and stuff out there, they might go to New York and a road racer would win, but when it was in California, then there was just different people won the race. In other words, you didn't have to be a road racer. The way the track is fixed and the way it's up and down and all that stuff, it looks like just a real good driver can win the race out there.
Okay, I'm going to take the 88 car and you pick 2.
So I got the rest of the field. I might be okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know it. I'm not necessarily pulling for him, but he's awful smooth in that race car, and I think he's real smart in it.
Yeah.
And
I think being smooth is the best deal.
Yeah.
You don't see him jerking the wheel or jerking the brakes and all that.
Saying. He just looked like.
I tell you that 71 was awful good car because he could run with him. Not that he could outrun him, but he could run with him.
Well, at the start of the race, both of them did get away.
Oh, they just drove. They drove off and left.
We were talking about because they got 5 or 6 seconds, maybe a little bit more ahead of the third place guy, and Shane pitted and still came out in 11th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how far ahead they had drove away from the rest of the field. He was that far ahead of the third place guy, but they pitted and came out and almost was in the top 10.
But at one time, Richard, they did away with the stages for the road race.
Race.
Yeah.
And that didn't last long. I still don't like them
No.
I still don't like them on the road course for sure.
So last question, because I know y'all got to be places. Y'all don't want to ramble. What about this season challenge or the what do they call it? What do they call it?
$1 million run or something.
Give me the name. What? The tournament. Yeah, this tournament where it's head to head. Now y'all got the two legacy guys going head to head in this next round, don't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah, you got Nemechek and Jones going head to head in the next round.
Well, what they ought to do is sit down and say, okay, guys, no matter what, if we make it up there, we'll just split the deal. So, you know what I mean? So it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, that's an internal deal. But they talk about it. You talked about Chicago maybe not being the best race, but it was a big event. This adds to the event. Do you like that in race challenge? Because they've eliminated a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people that's not in it.
What? Yeah, they eliminated last week.
Yeah, last week. Atlanta. But then up here you had the same thing. You had the 24 of Byron go out early. Yeah. You had let's see, Hocevar went out early. I mean, you had a lot of these guys go. Ty Dillon just keeps moving forward because everybody he races
the
falls
big deal.
out.
The 42 and the 43 both did not run anybody. The other people had trouble.
Yeah. Exactly.
The 47 car took himself out.
Right. You know what I mean?
Or somebody hit him.
The 9 car was having all kinds of trouble. In fact, he ran 16th. He ran one deal. They was racing each other there at the last of the race.
Yeah.
Well, who did Nemechek beat?
9.
9 car.
9.
Okay, I thought it was a 5 car. That's
That's
how much I know.
No, 9.
I only missed it before numbers. You need to start
paying attention.
Missed it before numbers.
That's all right. That's close. That's close. All right.
Okay.
All right, we'll get everything ready and get ready to go to California. If they're going to run Chicago, that's their only chance they got.
Yeah.
He brought that early up in the program, so that's the answer. He's done the answer.
Who owns the racetrack up there? Do you know?
I don't
even know who owns the racetrack. Yeah.
I still don't think road racing should get you into a cup situation. I still think you need to go round and round.
It was set up like this as the first season, so I guess we got to accept it.
Yep. That I understand what you're saying, but there's the answer.
Yeah.
The answer was everybody went into the season
knowing those
are the rules, right. And those are the rules. So whether you like it or whether you don't like it, and he doesn't like it, and you got to live by it. That's the whole point is when people start complaining about the rules in the 26th race of the season, you knew what they were in Daytona when you got to Daytona. You know what I mean? Don't complain about them after the fact.
But that team circled those tracks.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but you can't argue that because I'm going to say something. You can't argue that those teams circle the road courses. Right. Because when Front Row, before they've elevated themselves to a different place, they used to circle Daytona and Talladega and 4 or 5 races and say, these are our shots. And they made the playoffs by winning at Daytona and Talladega. Couldn't run a lick anywhere else, but they made the playoffs. So you can't argue SVG in the road race because then you have to argue about some of these guys that just go to Daytona and Talladega and say that's our only shot.
We even talked
He said try to keep these short, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying.
I don't work for NASCAR,
That's
so
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, and listen, I'll keep this short, and I'll say it. And I don't know. I don't have all the answers. These cars, and y'all, everybody here knows it. You don't just start it, and go again. You've got to cycle it. It's got to go through a cycle. And I'm betting if you go back and look at Josh Berry, how long he sat in the middle of the racetrack compared to how long the 51 set in the tires. And we've seen cars up there in the past who have run into the tires and backed out and continued on their way. And we saw the 47 yesterday crash, turn around, go the wrong way on the racetrack to get in a secure area behind the wall. So you don't know what the driver's thinking.
He did a good job on that.
You don't know what the driver's thinking. So NASCAR has to allow the guy time. So whether it's 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and these guys are coming off the final turn, and he's all the way over in turn 6, they can throw the caution in turn 4 or 5. They could have passed the start-finish line and still threw the caution by the time they got there. I'm on NASCAR's side on this one.
But we've seen NASCAR throw cautions when they'd hit the wall and not even spin out.
Listen, we've seen NASCAR throw cautions when a bird land on the racetrack. Okay, it's debris. So we've seen the inconsistency, and we know that. But I'm not going to argue this one in this particular situation.
I thought you'd argue with anybody.
No, not on this one. Not on this one.